Inspirational talk. Everyday people. Inspirational talk. Intentional choices. Inspirational talk. Extraordinary outcomes. It's Inspirational Talk with Toneal. Now here's your host, International Award-winning author and filmmaker, Toneal M. Jackson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning in to this broadcast. I am your international award-winning author, filmmaker, empowerment specialist, and the writer, director, producer of the upcoming docuseries, I Survived It All, Toneal M. Jackson. And I want to welcome you all to a very special rendition of Inspirational Talk with Toneal. If you recall, on February 8th, I had the privilege and pleasure of introducing half of the cast of this upcoming docuseries. Well, on this leap day, I am so honored to be able to have, I think, the bulk of, if not all of them, the rest of the cast of Inspirational Talk with Toneal. And so I am so very much excited as you all begin to come in. Be sure to like, share, tag people that you believe would benefit. So I'm going to start bringing all of these wonderful women on. First to the stage is Lady Melissa Peel, who was able to share her story. How you doing, Miss Melissa?
I am wonderful. How are you this evening?
I am great. Second on deck is Pastor Latasha Brown. Thank you so much for joining us today, Miss Latasha. How you doing?
I'm excited. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm ready to share tonight.
Come on, I love it. I love it. Next is my friend, the CSO and Maven, filmmaker, director, producer, and writer, Miss Lisa D. Adams. How you doing, ma'am?
I am doing fantastic. How is everybody?
Good.
Come on, it's going to be wonderful. Next up joining us is Lady Victoria. She is definitely not a stranger to me. We do Beauty in the Bible on Saturday mornings. She has been a part of I'm Glad to Be a Woman. We do so much stuff together, and I'm so glad that she chose to do this project too. How are you doing, Ms. Victoria?
I am doing well, and I am excited to be here. I'm excited to be here.
I love it. And then next up is Miss Felicia Alford. How are you, ma'am?
I am great, excited to be joining all these beautiful, powerful women tonight.
Listen, you better say something. Then we got Miss Michelle Carson. How you doing, Michelle?
Hi, Toneal. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
I am great. I'm great. Glad that you are able to join us because Michelle actually resides in Columbia, America. So that's how come we had little technical difficulties, but guess what? We worked them out in time. I'm gonna need, before I bring her to the stage, I'm gonna need her to turn on a camera. And so we got another lady that will join us, but I'm gonna need her to get a camera together for her. All right, there she goes. There she goes. Last but certainly not least is Miss Dominique Ward. She was there. There she go. Hello, Miss Dominique. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are doing well. So I don't know, somebody's doing something with their dogs in the background, but we gonna get all of that together as we get going.
Sorry, that's my dogs. I'll close the doors, but I can't see myself, Toneal.
Because you just turned off your camera, Miss Michelle. You turned off your camera, so you got to turn your camera back on.
Okay. There we go.
Leave it on the lawn, and you gonna be good because we can see you, we can hear you, and we gonna get going. So let's start with this. Before we get going again, we want to acknowledge everybody who is already watching, whether you guys are tuned in from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or even X, formerly known as Twitter. We say hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have questions for any of the ladies that's on this panel, feel free to put it in the comment section, and we will definitely incorporate those questions. But I'm going to start asking questions to the panel. Everybody's going to have this individual question because all of your answers might not be the same. And so we'll start with you, Miss Melissa. What was your experience like doing this? Like, first, let's say this. What made you want to be part of this project? And then what was your experience like in sharing your story?
Well, what made me want to do it is, first of all, I believe that talking about miscarriages is like taboo. We start out as little girls with this pipe dream of the white picket fence, the husband, and 2.5 children. But what happens if you can't? What happens if you don't? And so for me, doing this project was a great opportunity to let women know you are not alone. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not your fault. You didn't cause it. And you shouldn't have to be made to feel less than if you never became a mother.
Yeah, I love
Or
it.
biological mother.
Gotcha. So when you were in being able to share your story, how did it make you feel? Like, because it was very, like I told you, I've known you for a while and I didn't know your story. And I was like, wait, what? So like, how did it make you feel to actually, the actual sharing process?
The actual sharing process for me is very empowering because I tell it openly, I tell it honestly. I do not allow anybody else's thoughts about how I tell it alter how I tell it. And so I feel like I give women the opportunity to open up and say, yeah, that happened to me too. Yeah, that was awful for me. And I give women the opportunity to know that they are not alone and that, whatever they want to say, however they want to say it, I'm here for it all.
I love it. I love it. Pastor Latasha, you are next. You definitely blew my mind, ma'am. You definitely blew my mind. And so as you unmute your mic, like, how was it for you in sharing your story and what gave you the desire to want to share it in a platform like this?
I think it was two things. It was community building and connection. I think that when you share your story, it helps to connect with others. Other people may have a similar story. It fosters understanding, it fosters empathy, it fosters I am not alone. And I think, really personally, why I share my story is because when people look at me, they don't think I've been through anything. They see a pastor, they see a first lady, they see, this therapist, they see this educator, but they don't see the scars. They don't I had to find a way to connect with people, because sometimes people really won't connect with you unless they know, okay, well, this person been through some stuff and she came out on top, or she got through the fire. And so I think those are the main reasons why I share: for community sharing, community building, connection, and let people know that they're not alone and that trauma doesn't have a look. It doesn't
That
have
part.
a name. It doesn't have, a family dynamic. None of us are exempt from trauma.
Mhm. And I love that. That was one of the things that you said earlier in the interview. You were like, when you look at me, you have no idea, because I think that we do think that. I think that we do erroneously believe that if you've been through something, then you're supposed to look differently, right? Like you don't look like what you've been through. Miss Felicia, what was your experience? Because yours is something, again, so many of these stories, I've known so many of you for a very long time without ever having known your story. And I think that's even more proof positive how the opposite is true. Like, you don't look like what you've gone through. So what was your experience in this endeavor, being able to share your story?
Well, my story is about postpartum depression. And who wants to talk about that? Who wants to acknowledge when you're going through postpartum? And a lot of times we don't even know that that's what we're doing. That's what's going on to our bodies, our mind. And who do you talk to? You want to keep that concealed. But I had a battle with postpartum depression after I had my daughter, a few weeks, not even a month into my daughter being born, and it got pretty bad. It got pretty bad, but I was able to have the mindset of something is going on right now, and my mind was telling me to do. Let's be honest, the devil was telling me to do something,
Mhm.
and that other side, God was saying, not today, you're going to get some help. And that's what I did. So it is wanting to come to terms with that still so many years later, and realizing that there are still people going through it. We hear about it more often, postpartum depression, but there are some people that are still holding on to it, keeping it under wraps, and it's time to talk about it. So many of us are going through the same things. I don't care, what background you come from, what your walk of life is. We all can communicate to some degree, and really feel what someone else is feeling or have felt, and encourage that person. Hey, I've been through what you're going through and I made it. We survived, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And see, and that's and me thinking about what every woman has gone through, because even though some of the things may go under the same umbrella, the stories are still different, right? Like Felicia, Lisa, both of you ladies are on tonight, and both of you technically are under the depression umbrella, but it was totally different reasons for being depressed, right? And at the end of the day, what Felicia just said, we are proof that victory is on the other side of the storm. And so, it's absolutely amazing. Lady Victoria, you shared such a powerful story. What gave you the courage to finally, because even in your story, you said that it had been, years before anyone knew. What gave you the courage to say, you know what, I want to share it now on a platform such as this?
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to share it was because it was several years. Actually, it was 40 plus years. It's been 40 plus years. And I never talked about it. My parents never knew about it. But it was when the Me Too movement happened that it slapped me in the face. And I knew I had to tell it. And I kept saying, I can't. And I know it was God telling me, you have to share. You have to tell, because it's not just your story. It's some other woman's story too. And another woman, not just in your community, not maybe even in your church, in your workplace, in another part of the world. This is another woman's story. And because I was brought up in church, because my dad was in ministry years ago, and this happened long after that, I didn't want to mar the name, the family name. I didn't want to be the one to have people were pointing the finger at me saying, look at what happened to you. But to survive mental, physical, and emotional trauma, it felt like a lifetime. It felt like a lifetime. And there were things, the Me Too movement triggered me. And I knew I couldn't gloss it over and tell it. I had to tell it in the raw, because that was the only way that I could survive it. It forced me to come face to face with my dilemma. And if you're brought up in church, you're brought up in holiness, as most of us have been. And if your parents are in ministry, you can't do anything wrong. You can't say the wrong thing. You can't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I wasn't, but I was victimized nonetheless. And so I knew I had to tell it. Like I said, when the Me Too movement came out, and it just like hit me in the face all over again. I was experiencing it all over again. But I had to be the voice that would free another woman to release her voice, to tell her story, to come to a place of wholeness and completion. Sometimes we go through trauma, people might be able to see the scars on the outside. You couldn't see my scars. My scars were internal. They were emotionally embedded in me. There was a spiritual side to it that was also emotionally embedded in me. And I couldn't face that alone. But when I thought about all of the other women that have faced it alone too, how do they feel?
Yeah.
How were they able to get over it, or did they?
Yeah.
And I'll never know, because I never approached the subject. But now I'm able to approach the subject, because it wasn't my fault. It wasn't anything I did. It wasn't anything I said. It was just a terrible, tragic event that happened. And now is the time to come out of the cocoon, release, so that not only I'm free, but my voice and my story will help hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of other women to be free as well.
I love it. I love it. Because we're going to keep on hearing that same underlying theme, right? Like being a woman is so powerful. And it's so scary too at the same time, because you don't even really realize how many people that you have the power to influence, because so many of us are humble. We don't even realize that people are looking at us or that they're looking to us. And so when you realize the power that you possess and you feel that freedom to go and share your story, it really does help to free so many others. Now, Lisa, when I brought you on, I thought, because Lisa, now I'll tell it because other people know, she's a cancer survivor. So I thought that that's what she was going to share. She's on so many different platforms where she talks about that. But you blew my mind, because instead, Miss Lisa, what did you decide to talk about? And then tell me why you decided why you chose to talk about that.
I decided to talk about depression. And I talked about depression because, and this is going to sound really strange to most, for an individual who had been told they had less than 30 days to live, and you had a stage 4 cancer. I had 2 cancers at one time. One was stage 4 and one was stage 2. Still in all, cancer was easier for me to fight than depression. Mm-hmm. It was much easier to fight than depression. So with me, my spiritual being and my conversation with God, once God told me, say, hey, you are healed. You just got to go through the motions. You're already healed. Okay, God, man, you good with this. Now, me and this depression thing here. Let's talk about that, God. Can we talk about that? But what I will say about the depression thing, it was, although I felt deflated, but it gave me some time to spend with myself. Mm-hmm. It gave me some time to get to know me. What do I like? Mm-hmm. What do I not like? Why are you just going along with the program with some things you just don't like for the pleasing of others? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it also made me have a deeper relationship with God, because it's like I'm praying and you ain't answering. I'm like, hello, do you hear me? Do you see me? Do I need a flag, a red one, perhaps a yellow one? What do I need to do to get, attention?
Yeah.
It's like you're just sitting there wondering when. But then I'm one, okay, as a writer, journaling was all, I've journaled even before I came a writer. It's probably what promoted me to do that. And then I had a tendency to go back and read the journals. Mm-hmm. So for 3 straight years, y'all, it was like I took the book and said, mm-hmm. And when I read it, after that third, I was like, baby, bye. Nah, next year can't be like this. We something has to be done, but it had to start with me.
Yeah.
Could nobody help me with this? Mm-hmm. I felt alone. I felt that my family didn't understand. Church was everything. Mm-hmm. I had to deal with it, and I had to deal with me, and I had to hold myself accountable for my actions and participation in my depression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to make a conscious decision to turn it around. It wasn't easy. I was one look like a Lifetime movie, putting a little sticky notes on the mirror. I love you. Being able to look at yourself in the mirror and keep going and keep going. It was something else. But
look, thank God. You on the other side. Come on. Come on. I love it. I love it.
You know, sometimes we have to go through some things so now I can look back and say, I remember when.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And then I ain't gonna lie and say every day is peachy cream, okay? But we ain't nowhere near that.
That's it. That's it. We just keep on moving. We keep on moving. And that's kind of the beauty and the strength that comes with being a woman. And last but definitely not least, Miss Michelle, many people will see your story tomorrow because you are in the first segment with dealing with the death of one.
Oops, sorry.
It's okay. Just turn down your device. Turn down your device so that way we don't get feedback. But you came on and you'll be on tomorrow discussing. People will see that if they come out on tomorrow. So share with us what it was like for you to share your story.
Well, it was very nice of you to invite me to share my story. First of all, I want to say that to Toneal. It was hard because, you know, it's 14 years since the death of my daughter, but it still feels like yesterday. And the day of her death was January 31st, 2010. And that just passed. As you know, I asked you about the death anniversary. And I don't think people realize when there is a death, a really close death, like of your child, or any very close member of your family, how it affects everything. It affects every relationship. It affects, your feelings about life. You feel like you're in shock for at least a year. You go about living, and I know other people, handle deaths differently. My daughter was killed by a drunk driver who left her at a side of the road. He killed her and left her on the side of the road and on I-10 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and said he thought he hit a deer, in the middle of a interstate. He was caught very quickly, but he was never, I had to actually go to Louisiana after 3 years to get the trial to move forward because he was like paying off everyone and trying not to. And he pleaded no contest, and the judge was very corrupt. It was all very corrupt. And I had to accept that they found the killer, but he never was punished. So I've had to live with that and her death and the reactions of people around me who were really angry at me over her death, which I never have understood that because my daughter made her own decisions and she had moved to Louisiana. And it was a very, very, very difficult time for me. And I had to really try to keep myself together. And I consider myself a very strong person because I chose to continue living my life instead of going deep into the grief I felt and still feel. And I have ended up in a beautiful place where I live in Colombia. I live in nature, and I feel her presence every day through all kinds of different signs and the universe. And I do live in a paradise here. And it took me almost 14 years. It's, to finally feel peace. I feel peace right now. And I'm happy about that. I feel peace because I have a good relationship with my son and with all the people that are close to me. And it took a while because a lot of people were looking for someone to blame besides this person who actually killed my daughter. And it was a very hard time for me.
But you know what? We are so grateful that you are still here, because there is something that you did say in your interview, how a lot of times that's what happens. We don't know how to handle death. We don't know how to handle grief. So a lot of times what we end up doing is blaming other people, because we need for it to make sense. And so sometimes that becomes what people's solution is. Now, you ladies, I don't know that any of you, this is the full trailer. Many of you have seen your individual trailers, but this is the full trailer for I Survived It All. So when we come back, we are going to be talking about the other side of the storm. You heard about what they went through, but when we come back from watching this trailer, we're going to talk about the victory that they now live in. Here we go.
Can't be prepared for death and how it happened. I think that was the part that really traumatized me.
Oh, Jesus. Losing a parent is hard. But there's no greater pain than losing a child.
I really thought this was love.
He didn't seem to be abusive or mean or anything like that. Seemed to be a pretty good guy, so I trusted him. He went from being my knight in shining armor to a monster.
No one has any idea discrimination that went on there in Mississippi. It was dangerous. Like I said, it's a very dangerous time. And it made me feel some kind of way that why am I not equal to everybody else? Why can't I have the same rights as everybody else?
Deep inside of me, I knew that no one else was responsible for my happiness. It didn't matter if I was feeling unworthy at that particular time. I knew that the power within me had to come full force so I could get out of this mess.
There is a time in our lives where we feel hopeless and helpless. Nobody understands, nobody knows, but we go through it, and we go through it alone.
I was violently attacked. I was assaulted. I was tied to a bedpost. I was stripped of all of my dignity.
I was supposed to lay there for 6 hours and have the blood slowly pump back into my body. When I tell you that pain had me crying, I was like, I can't do 6 hours of this.
We're talking complete darkness. The heat is so intense and high that the skin is just falling off of me, literally.
I want somebody to know and to understand you are a survivor. You can survive anything.
So that is the full trailer. For those of you who have not seen your individual trailers, they are all on YouTube. So those were portions of each trailer. So like each individual trailer is longer. So definitely go and check those out. But I have to thank all of you ladies for being so willing to share your stories, for trusting me with your truths, and just coming to the stage and coming to the platform, being able to share your story. So really quickly, to those who are tuning in, to Miss Tiffany Green, to Cassandra Hurdle, to Lady Leah, to Loretta, to Sally, Sandy, to Yasmin, to Deirdre, to Pastor Rex, to Quincella, Wendy, Annie, Kyla, all of y'all. It's a whole lot of y'all. I thought it was finna be in, but it's still a whole lot of people. To everybody, thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you all have questions, feel free to ask them to the panelists. But what I want to do now is kind of go and talk about where we are now, right? Because sometimes it can be hard to know the balance of how do I share my story without staying in the past? How do I share my story, move forward? So what have you all been able to do? Where are you now, so to speak? Like we see those stories on what VH1 and all of those places. Where are they now? Now that you have overcome, and again, we know that with some, it's going to always be there, right? It's still a work in progress. I don't know that you ever fully get past it. But where are we now? Let's start with you, Lady Melissa. Where are we now?
Well, now I am two children deep. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, girl and a boy, respectfully. Yeah, and I'm living life with a teenager, so that's where I am now. I'm trying to survive that.
That part, praying for you.
So I guess at this point I can really say I've survived a couple of things because I did survive the death of my children. You know, people talk about how much life changes when you have a child, but nobody really talks about how much it changes when you lose one, and whether that's one that has lived a lifetime, as Miss Michelle's daughter did, or one that you may have never gotten to know up close and personal. So trauma has no face, trauma has no name, trauma has no look. And when we talk about our individual issues, those issues transcend into other issues and into other areas of your life. So yeah, I'm surviving. I'm not just survived, but I'm still making it day by day.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Come on, chime in, Pastor Lady Tasha, because it's kind of hard. Like for so long, I was calling you Lady Tasha, but now you're officially Pastor Tasha. So come on, Lady Brown, however you want to come in and chime in on that.
I would say I have survived domestic violence, and I have now been married to my husband for it'll be 17 years this year. And we really live life to the fullest. Of course, marriage is not perfect, but I feel like we're perfect for each other. So I didn't let what I experienced in my 20s in the domestic violence relationship block me to moving forward to a new life. I didn't feel like, well, all men were the same. I think one of the things that really helped me to survive was really finding my relationship with God and learning about full forgiveness. I had to forgive. And I believe that once I forgave, it just blossomed from there. Like, you know, I was able to meet my husband. We were able to get married. We have a daughter, a grandson. We do ministry together. We've been in ministry now for 13 years. We travel together. We're empty nesters. And so we just love life. So if we want to get up and take a trip, we do that. But I think that practicing forgiveness and quickly forgiving really it helps us to move forward. Well, it's helped me to move forward in what I experienced with domestic violence.
I love it. I love it. Miss Michelle, you started alluding to it now in terms of where you're living in Colombia, but like what are you doing? What is survival or surviving, as Lady Melissa said? What does that look like for you now?
It looks like nature and beauty and the mountains. You know, yesterday when you put the photo of tonight's chat on Facebook and I shared it on a few of my social media sites. And I got up and went into the kitchen, and there was this huge butterfly, beautiful butterfly on my window inside. And I had to like help it out. And I just thought, wow, if that isn't a sign, I don't know what is. It's like I feel that the universe is surrounding me here with peace and tranquility. With my business as a hotel owner and glamping place, I have so many wonderful people visit, and they all bring so much love, and they always say to me, your place is so magical. I feel so much peace here. So that's where I'm at. I feel that by moving here and finding my way into a new beginning, because it was so hard when it happened, that I found my peace. I mean, I'm not saying that it will ever be perfect or that I will ever accept what happened, but I agree about forgiveness. We have to forgive those people who were so horribly mean to me when she died, and I didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, it was a very hard time for me. I felt like I almost couldn't grieve her because so many people made me feel so bad. And now I grieve her and I find her in the paradise that I live in. That's all I can say about that.
I love it. I love it. Miss Felicia, where are you now? Like, what does victory on the other side look like for you now?
Oh, wow. So, okay, almost 21 years later after the postpartum depression, I am a proud mother of that little girl being in her 3rd year on a pre-med track to become an OB-GYN. That is her dream of all things that she could have wanted to be. And she knows the story. And she gave me her blessing to say, yes, mommy, go tell that story. Tell it to the world, because I'm here and I'm going to bring more lives into the world. So besides that, I am also an author, award-winning author, a writer. I am currently producing on a project for the adaptation of my book. I also have a son who's a teenager as well, so I do understand everything that everyone else is going through. So the other side of it, it's good. It feels really good. The journey of healing is not easy. It's not. And every single day, still to this day, you still heal. You continue to heal. It's not a one method to, you may feel better today and, take 2 steps back tomorrow, but get back on it. Get back on it. And it feels good to know that you can come out on the other side and know that you have weathered some storms. There will be more, but each one that you're faced with, you will become stronger.
That part. I love that. There will be more, right? But you got to keep on going, keep going and going through. Miss Lisa, what does victory look like for you? What does the other side of the storm look like for you?
I'll just say this: depression should have took me out while I had a chance, because it ain't got nothing going on right now. I mean, when I look back from then to now, what God has allowed me to come, when I say the wow factor, because I'm living God's life. I'm living some stuff I ain't even asked about, I ain't planned about. Award-winning author, award-winning filmmaker. The month of March, I could celebrate and say the month of March is busy for me. I'm filming Sunday. Next Saturday, I'm in a music video. And so, we got the docuseries the following Friday. God is doing the work, okay? He is doing the work, and he's showing up. So it's different levels. It's just like that little line you go through from this point to this point. So you went through this to that. And it's just, when you look back, it's just a reminder of he didn't leave and forsake us, even though we thought that he had. We just got to continue to hold on. Keep pressing, keep praying. So what? You don't have nobody to talk to. Keep talking to God, even when they act like he don't hear you. Keep talking, keep praying, keep crying, keep moving, and let it go.
I love it. I love it. Keep moving. That's the thing. Keep moving. Lady Victoria, what does victory look like for you now? All these years later, you are still moving. So what does it look like to be on the other side of the storm?
On the other side of this traumatic event, it looks like freedom. It looks like achievement. It looks like overcomer. It looks like being free. That's what it looks like, and that's what it feels like for me. And every day when I think about it, because I do still think about it almost every day, especially with this docuseries, coming forth and being broadcast. Um, it allowed me to be very introspective about myself. Take a look at myself internally, and how did I allow that incident to just strip me of the life that I originally wanted? But now I've recaptured that. I've always loved writing. I like talking. I always say I should have been a talk show host. And in college, my major was broadcast journalism. I've always loved writing. But after this event, I actually began writing again. And because I began writing again, I am an author, a published author 3 times over. I am a 2-time international best-selling author, a 1-time bestseller author in a new venue. So it has released me to be able to recapture Victoria, who she really was, what she really wanted to do. So I had those books coming, and then perhaps later this year, I'll be working on the book that's going to tell my story in more detail. And that will be on several platforms. I want to be able to go to churches and share it there, because that's how I felt as a church girl. I couldn't talk about it. You couldn't talk about it. You just couldn't talk about it. And when I tried to talk about it, I was slammed. So that shut me down again. But what has happened to me has happened to other girls, other women, in churches, in high society, wherever. It happened. And now it's time to release. So that's what it feels like to me. It feels like freedom.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Because let me tell you something. I'm a PK. Look, is it PW too? Like, Melissa, is it officially PW? But I mean, like, I grew up being a preacher's kid, a pastor's kid. I'm a pastor's wife.
The preacher's niece. It's all of that.
What she said, my granddaddy both grandfathers were pastors. My father was a pastor. My husband is a pastor. I said, Lord, because wait a minute, I didn't know about the husband going to become a pastor too. I thought I was getting out of the line of it, not that I was getting deeper into the line of it, But here's the thing. God has a plan for all of us. And I think that that's what we have all seen. I think that's what being on the other side of it is like. When you're in it, it doesn't feel like you'll ever come out of it. But once you get out of it, it's like, man, I wish I could have been here so much earlier, right? And so I want to ask you all, because I admire all of you. I think that you all are incredible in your own rights. At this point, if you would just share one word of wisdom, one something that if somebody, whether it's in regards to your story or not, just something that you believe that somebody that's listening needs to hear. And this time I'm actually going to start with Victoria and I'm going to work my way back up. But leave an encouraging word to those that's listening today, whether it's a woman or not, just an encouraging word.
My one word would be courage. Courage. Encourage yourself. Don't be afraid to speak about the thing, because you don't want the thing to have you. The thing had me for years, like several of you ladies, all of us here. The thing had us for however long it had us. But look to your own courage, because it's within you to speak about it. And it is within you to play a major role in your healing and your deliverance. So that's my word, courage.
I love it. I love it. All right, Miss Michelle, what was your word of encouragement or wisdom be for our listeners today?
Oh, I loved what she just said. I would say strength. embrace your strength, because that will get you through the hardest times that you could ever imagine. I have a lot of strength, including moving here to another country, learning another language, and starting a business. And a lot of times it wasn't easy, but I just embraced the strength inside of me, because the death of Misha was the hardest thing I'd ever, I mean, it was hell on earth. And I embraced the love I had for her and used that strength inside of me to achieve what I have achieved. And I can't say enough that everyone has this strength inside of them. They just need to allow themselves to explore it and embrace it. I mean, seriously, I learned Spanish and I'm 65. I came here without speaking Spanish, and I now am fluent. So that's a pretty cool thing to do too. I think my daughter would be really proud of me about that too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Come on, Miss Felicia, what is your word of encouragement?
My word of encouragement is fight. No matter what, fight for yourself, fight for whatever it is you feel defeated. Regain your strength, regain your strength. And once you gather yourself, understand that it's within your own power. You can make it as long as you fight. Don't give up. Believe in yourself and fight.
I love it. Short, sweet, and to the point. You got it inside of you, so fight. Come on, Lisa, what is your encouraging word?
Focus. Regardless of the noise around you, focus on your next level. Who cares about what other people say or think? Remain focused and continue to believe.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, look, I know that we know God, but y'all trying to take us to church tonight. You hear me? I'm trying to keep my little self together, and y'all taking us to church. And then watch this. Come on, Pastor Brown.
I'm ready. Glory to God. I'm ready to pray up here.
Come on.
I would say my word is resilience. I was thinking as the women were talking, and what would I even say to myself, the 13 or the 15 or the 17-year-old girl, is that you are resilient. So anybody that is watching anywhere in the world, I just want you to know that you are resilient, that you are not alone, that there is strength in support. You know, there is strength in finding someone that you feel safe to share with, safe to talk to, that God is with you. The Bible says he will never leave you nor forsake you. And remember, according to Romans 8:28, that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. All of us have shared our stories, our testimonies, but it has worked together for our good. God has been with us through our pain, through our struggle. But I want every person on here to know that you are resilient.
I love it. I love it. Let me tell you something. Y'all gonna have me running in a minute, because Romans 8:28, that's like my favorite verse of all time. I got a lot of them, but that's number one on my list. You gonna keep on. Come on, Lady Melissa. Give us the word on tonight.
So Miss Felicia underneath me on my screen took my word. So, I'm going to reclaim my word in this way. Right. Fight for your courage.
Yes.
Fight for your strength. Fight the fight. Fight for your focus. Fight for your resilience. But most of all, fight for your faith. Because if you believe that God brought you to it, you have to believe he'll bring you through it. And so since we all are survivors, we know that God has brought us through to the other side, and we want to give back to the person coming behind us.
Yes.
Right now.
I love it. Look, now I don't want for nobody to think that I wasn't listening, because I was listening, but I was also listening because I was asked to put the links to all the trailers in the comments. So y'all, anybody that know me know I can't talk and text at the same time. So that's why I'm so glad that I had people. But if you all who are watching, if you have yet to see the trailers, every week starting the first week, the first Thursday of this month, we dropped a new trailer. So the first trailer, the first week we dropped the trailer for what is it? Death of a Loved One, which is what will be premiering on tomorrow night. So if you are in the Chicago area, specifically 7438 South Racine, then our first docuseries episode is going to be premiering. I'm super duper excited. If you want a ticket, please hit me up. At this point, you can just let me know, because I don't want for you, if you feel like you need to be there, I want you to be there, so you can hit me up. But for those of you who are like, man, I still want to watch it, I'm just not in Chicago, then what I am doing is I am making the link available. So this is how that is going to work. On March 2nd, you guys can still pay your money and you will receive a link. And what that link is going to reveal, you will be able to see the actual segment of the feature segment. So in this case, Death of a Loved One, there will be a Q&A panel discussion. So you will also be able to get that Q&A panel discussion as well. And the link will be good for 5 days. Okay. So I'm trying to help everybody, because everybody's like, well, I want to make it, but I can't make it. I got all this stuff going on. So that's the best that I got, because I'm working on some other things right now. So I can't make it available to you guys permanently, but I can give you those 5 days. But again, we have had the trailer for Death of a Loved One. We've had the trailer of for domestic violence. Then there was devastation, followed by depression, and then discrimination. And so I have just realized Lauren is going to kill me. Y'all say a prayer that I make it to see tomorrow, because I'm looking at this panel right now, and Dr. Lauren Smith was supposed to be on the panel because I was wondering why I was missing somebody, and discrimination is not represented because Lauren was supposed to be here tonight. Oh, well, Jesus. Okay, so I'm going to have to interview her separately. Pray for me. But her segment is not until March 29th. So I'm going to get her on the show between now and then as a huge makeup. And if you happen to see this on LinkedIn, Dr. Lauren, I am so sorry. I apologize. Charge my head and not my heart. But in either case, to all of you ladies, I just thank you all so much for sharing your stories. I thank you so much for all that you are doing in your everyday lives. We're going to go around one more time, and I'm going to ask you all if you have either upcoming announcements, or if you don't have upcoming announcements, and or how people can be in contact with you, because all of y'all got jobs outside of sitting here interviewing with me. And so if it's something that you need other people to know about, here is the time, upcoming announcements and contact information. So again, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. Lady Victoria, how can people get in touch with you, and what do you have going on?
Okay, people can get in touch with me on Facebook, on just about all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can get in touch with me. My contact information, I can drop it in the comments or however you want us to do that. But one of the things I want to share is that, for some of you might know, for those of you that don't know, I have an etiquette school. It's not a brick and mortar anymore, but it is online, and I teach etiquette classes anywhere from preteens all the way up to age 79. I think I actually got a call from a man in his 80s that wanted to take an etiquette class. So I teach principles and protocols, decorum, principles and protocols of dining manners, whatever it is that you're interested in, whether it's business, personal, or social, I've got you covered. So if you're interested in taking a class, if you're interested in having your young ladies at your church or what have you to take the etiquette class, please get in touch with me. If you just type in Victoria School of Etiquette, I will pop up. And that is my passion. It is my absolute passion. I absolutely love talking about it and teaching the classes all the time. Toneal came to my studio when I first had it back in Chicago. She had been there multiple times. I think at least 3 times she had been there. But, with the pandemic and all of that, we've had to make some changes. But I am online. So if you get in touch with me on Facebook, on Instagram, any social media platform, I'd be happy to partner with you in teaching an etiquette class or teaching one for your like I said, for your church, for your school event, if you have young teenagers, whatever it is, I am there and I'm available. The last thing about our etiquette classes is that I have created a new curriculum for our preschool children because they need to learn proper manners at a very early age.
Absolutely.
And I approach it through play. So that will be debuting in the spring of this year. That class for preschoolers, yes, will be debuting in the spring, but you can, get pre-signed up now so that your slot is available when you want it.
Sounds great. All right, Miss Michelle, what do you have coming up and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I have coming up just my business. I have a hotel and glamping business here in Columbia. It's called Glamping at Via Miguelita Eco Lodge. And you could just put in Via Miguelita, Villa, Miguelita, Migelita, Eco Lodge. And I'm all over the internet, which I feel very blessed about. I'm very, very, very high up on the Google here in Columbia. I'm always very, very full here. And when I get a couple weeks where it's kind of slow, I really appreciate it. And I'm also on Facebook at Michelle Carson. And Instagram is Via Miguelita Crystal House. That's one of my glamping cabins. It's a big glass house. And I can put it in the comments also. But you can follow me at Facebook at Michelle Carson and at Instagram Via Miguelita Crystal House. And LinkedIn is Michelle Carson. And just Via Miguelita, you'll find me on Google.
Gotcha.
And thank you, Toneal, for including all of us. I've enjoyed everyone's stories, and I really loved all your words, the last words, a lot.
Awesome. And thank you, Michelle. We enjoyed you as well. And that's to everybody. You guys can start putting all of your contact information in the comments as well. So just in case people watch this on the playback, they can still connect with you. Miss Felicia, what you got coming up and how can people get in contact with you?
Oh, well, let's see. Currently, I mentioned earlier, I am producing on the adaptation of my book. I put the contact in there. It's called Through the Fire. So I can be reached on all social media handles at Through the Fire, the book, or you can go to the webpage, throughthefire.com. Recently, I've been collaborating with others, doing more writing. I'm doing some acting as well, and voiceovers too. So we're dibbling, dabbling in a little bit of everything right now outside of the full-time corporate sales job.
I love it. I love it. Come on, Miss Lisa, what you got coming up and how can people contact you?
Well, I'm just a all over creator. So I'm still writing, doing the sequel to My House, My Rules. And then I ventured off into doing art. And I also have the jewelry business. So by all of the art show coming up soon, date hasn't been set in stone. But the jewelry is on my social media. You can see it on Lisa D. Adams or unapologeticglam.com. Michelle, I see what you got on. I'll be in touch with you. Them earrings. And that's about it.
I love it. And let me say this, because I'm saying it's gonna sound like shade, but it ain't no shade. She don't sell paparazzi, y'all. When she's talking about jewelry, she actually she creates her own jewelry. Like, so she's a jewelry designer. So I want to put that out there. Again, it's no shade to people who sell paparazzi, but because I have so many people on my paparazzi timeline, I don't want for you guys to mistake what she's saying. She actually designs jewelry. When I did the Black Man documentary premiere, it was custom made earrings that she had made just for me. So she designs jewelry. So I want to put that out there so that way they know how to get in touch with you and what to expect.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Pastor Brown, what you got going on? How can people get in touch with you?
I have a few places. So if I am also a Christian therapist, so you can go to advancingthefamily.com. You can go actually to my website at advancingthefamily.com. You can book me there. You can also follow me on Facebook at Latasha Cornelius Brown. That's my Facebook page. Also, I am a new content creator for Black Doctor. So I'm doing a lot of Facebook Lives for mental health in the Black church, in the Black community on blackdoctor.org. They actually also have a Facebook page. Professionally, I am with NAMI Chicago. So I do a lot of advocacy work for NAMI Chicago with mental health. But really, you can just go to my website at advancingthefamily.com if you're interested in therapy, or if you want to just follow me at on Facebook at Latasha Cornelius Brown, or you can go to my personal website at latasharbrown.com, and more information is there about ministry, having me come to a church or something like that.
I love it. I love it. Lady Melissa, what you got going on and how can people contact you?
I think I can be contacted on almost all of the social media outlets. I am under my name, Melissa Peel, Facebook, Instagram, Google. You can also reach me at tglc.org, which is the Greater Love Church of God in Christ. That is our website and our Facebook page. So Greater Love Church of God in Christ. You can reach me there. I am a licensed professional counselor as well. And my great give back is to the church. So if you're looking for that church touch, I'm the girl for you. That's all I've got going on.
I love it. And guess what? That's enough because we are at the hour mark, y'all. I want to thank all of you ladies today for availing yourself. I should say tonight for availing yourself. If you all want to wait backstage, you can. I know some of you all are busy and you have to go, but I'm just about to close the show out really quickly. But thank you to all of my guests. I cannot wait for these docuseries premieres to kick off and the world will be able to see your stories as well. But thank you, ladies, so much. To Lady Victoria, to Michelle, to Felicia, to Lisa, and to Lady Melissa. Thank you. And to each and every one of you who tuned in on tonight, I just want to say thank you. If you heard something that you enjoyed, then please feel free to like and share the video. Tag somebody that you believe would benefit from this broadcast. And again, do not forget that you can be a sponsor with Inspirational Talk with Toneal and any of the other podcasts that I do. If you have a business, product, or service that you would like to become a sponsor, then you can do so. If you want to get your message out, you need help promoting yourself, then consider becoming a sponsor. But again, I am just so excited. I cannot believe that tomorrow is the day. So just in case you did not get the opportunity to see it, here is one last time the final trailer. This is the compact trailer for I Survived It All.
You can't be prepared for death and how it happened. I think that was the part that really traumatized me.
Oh, Jesus. Losing a parent is hard. But there's no greater pain than losing a child.
I really thought this was love.
He didn't seem to be abusive or mean or anything like that. Seemed to be a pretty good guy, so I trusted him. He went from being my knight in shining armor to a monster.
No one has any idea discrimination that went on there in Mississippi. It was dangerous. Like I said, it's a very dangerous time. And it made me feel some kind of way that why am I not equal to everybody else? Why can't I have the same rights as everybody else?
Deep inside of me, I knew that no one else was responsible for my happiness. It didn't matter if I was feeling unworthy at that particular time. I knew that the power within me had to come full force so I could get out of this mess.
There is a time in our lives where we feel hopeless and helpless. Nobody understands, nobody knows, but we go through it and we go through it alone.
I was violently attacked. I was assaulted. I was tied to a bedpost. I was stripped of all of my dignity.
I was supposed to lay there for 6 hours and have the blood slowly pump back into my body. When I tell you that pain had me crying, I was like, I can't do 6 hours of this.
We're talking complete darkness. The heat is so intense and high that the skin is just falling off of me, literally.
I want somebody to know and to understand you are a survivor. You can survive anything.
And with that, I bid you farewell. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Inspirational Talk with Toneal. And until next time, you guys stay blessed.